My journey into tethered oral tissue started with my oldest daughter, Syra, who's almost 10 now. And when I had her as a first-time mom, I didn't really know what to expect in terms of infant feeding, but we did struggle a lot with breastfeeding. And I did turn to the recommended sources of pediatrician and lactation. Fast forward a few years, she was about 3 years old and started having a lot of sleep concerns, or I started having a lot of sleep concerns for her. I was at that point in pediatric residency, where unfortunately we didn't really learn about tethered oral tissues, but we did learn about adenoids and tonsils and what a child sounds like when they're not sleeping well. I took a course with Dr. Zaghi in about 2018, and he started describing what it looks like when a child has a tongue tie and poor airway development and poor sleep. And he basically was describing Syra. And that was sort of the light bulb moment for me about airway health and tongue ties and what an impact it can have on a child from birth and beyond. The first functional deficit that we see is in infant feeding, and that can be breast or bottle. Some of those babies have classic symptoms right away, an inability to latch, mom having pain, not being satisfied after a feeding. But some of them show up with other symptoms, colicky, gassiness, because the quality of the latch is not good.
Most of the moms that I see here are moms that are struggling to breastfeed well because their babies have tethered oral tissues. So they have a tie, whether it be a tongue tie, lip tie, cheek tie, or a combination of those things. It just keeps the baby from being able to move and function and feed well.
On the childhood development side, for the toddlers, what we look for is any impact on speech, so speech delay. We also want to look at their feeding patterns. When we're transitioning from, liquid nutrition to semi-solid, solid foods, if we don't have good tongue mobility, then it's very difficult to process textured solid foods. My classic question is, do they eat meat that's not processed, not in a hot dog, nugget, shredded, ground form? Because essentially those are all pre-chewed. For the older kids, when we talk about speech, sometimes it's not speech delay, it's specific articulation.
It really does impact the way that we say our speech sounds. Specifically, we see T's, D's, N's, L's. S's and Z's are big ones that come up pretty early.
Besides just the functionality of feeding and speaking, the growth and development impact of your tongue is huge. And that to me is one of the most important aspects of treating early.